Good afternoon. Welcome to our Thursday Live. You are visiting me in my house where there's a lot of craziness happening around me. We are busy preparing for 8 exciting videos with the Home magazine to announce our Tjhoko Champs competition. These videos will be filmed from next week, so we are busy building, preparing, painting Loser Storm, and I'm actually in my element. It's lovely to be creative. It's lovely to think of new ideas and to be able to give inspiration. I hope that this session will inspire you to create something in and around your space. Speaking of the Taste and Home magazine, I just want to brag in a nice way. The front cover is something that is created. Yaka, you need to move closer with the phone. So the front cover is something that's been created by an avid Tjhoko client. This is Pieter Hofman from Carnarvon in the Northern Cape. Pieter, we as the Tjhoko tribe is so extremely proud of you. I just want to open the page where Pieter shows off Maestro and Tinus's terracotta in his space. How beautiful are your creations, Pieter. You are absolutely a person that inspires us, and is this nicely zoomed in, Yaku? That inspires us with your creativity, living in a small town where you're not close to things, and how you just create something out of nothing is something that astounds me. So well done on this. This is the May-June issue of the Taste and Home magazine, also available in English, both South Africa and Namibia. Now, if you are not within the borders of South Africa, I'm Mama Tjhoko, and I'm here to inspire you to paint your wicker if it's something that needs a new touch, new life, and just a second chance on life. This is something that we try to do all the time with Tjhoko, to show how we can, with a lick of paint, create something out of nothing and give things a second chance, to upcycle, recycle, reuse, be kind to nature. Now, all Tjhoko Paints products are water-based, eco-friendly, non-toxic. So today I have a big smile on my face because this pram has been sitting in my shop in the St. Francis store for quite a while, and it's my little neighbor's pram that I promised her that I will paint today. This is Wicker. Now with Tjhoko, the steps preparation will be as follows. Firstly, we will clean properly with lacquer thinners. So this is a step that I have completed already. Very important is to follow the safety instructions on the packaging of the thinners. After you have cleaned properly, and this is very important, the cleaning part. What the thinners does, it removes any greasiness, grime, anything that can prevent Tjhoko from gripping. It also edges the surface so that Tjhoko adheres to the surface. After you have cleaned properly with the lacquer thinners, allow a 40-minute drying time so that the thinners can evaporate. Don't clean with anything other than thinners. So don't first use Handy Andy or a ammonia cleaner or a kitchen cleaner or anything. Just clean properly with your lacquer thinners. Allow a 40-minute drying time or until you can see that it has evaporated completely, and only then you start painting. A very next important step and tip that I do want to give is if there is varnish on your surface, the varnish needs to be older than 6 months. And this also applies to furniture oils. The oil is a substance that disintegrates, that moves, and it is not a solid foundation. So nothing can grip and adhere on a newly varnished or furniture oiled surface. I am putting some paint on my paintbrush, and the color I'm using is Tjhoko's Cloud White. The technique I'll be using is dry brush technique. So what I do is I've dipped the edges of my paintbrush in the paint. I'm now removing any excess paint. So my brush is nice and dry. And I'm just going to dry brush onto this pram. So I want to change the color in a very subtle way. So I'm simply dry brushing. And this is something maybe that you can zoom in nicely, Tjhoko, so that the transformation process is clear and visible. Very important, I'm removing excess paint so that no paint sits in the grooves and crevices of my item, but that the transition is gradual, subtle, and I rather can apply a second coat later, once my first coat has dried completely. Now we always show the final outcome later, because you will sit and watch me painting for ages, but I do just want to continue a bit so that you can see how the transition happens. What the cloth does, it actually is a medium where you can pick up some paint while you go along. So it doesn't dry immediately. So as you need more paint, you can simply grab from there as well. I'm going to paint this section, and Tjhoko, you might have to move closer. I'm going to be so glad to finally give her back her pram. I feel so guilty every time I see her with her bike in the street, and I know I'm still sitting with her pram. So if you want to change the color to a more brighter version, you will allow for the first coat to dry and then dry brush a second coat on. The beauty of a dry brush technique on Wicker, especially Wicker, that has all these grooves and crevices, is that no excess paint can go sit in those crevices. So it's a very even paint technique on Wicker that gives a beautiful, classy finish and subtly changes the color. Now remember, depending on your color preference, you can use any color. Depending on what your decor style is, your color preferences. I'm going to stop with the dry brushing. I think the technique makes sense. So this is a tip for Wicker if you want to paint with ease without excess paint sitting in the grooves and crevices. Okay. If you, however, want to create a solid finish, and this is something I'm going to do on this Wicker light fitting, is you can paint. So I'm going to use the color, and this is something that I'm also going to use with the Tjhoko Champs video, Simply Sipiwe. You will see in the issue of the Taste and Home magazine that I've mentioned earlier that terracotta currently is a decor trend, but trends come and go. And according to the trends, colors come and go. So currently this is a very popular decor trend and color. I'm using a Hamilton's Enzyme brush. I'm dipping my brush in Simply Sipiwe, which is a warm terracotta clay color. I'm removing excess paint, so there's not too much paint on my brush to enable me to solidly paint my Wicker without having excess paint filling the gaps. So you can also, if you want to apply a solid coat of paint on Wicker, you don't need to prime with Tjhoko. Just clean well with your lacquer thinners. This basket is so dry, I haven't cleaned it. I must be honest with you. Where with this one, I did clean it because it seemed to me as if there was a varnish coating on the pram. If you're unsure, rather clean to be safe. And now I'm just painting very little paint on my paintbrush, and you can see how the paint spreads to create an even finish. This is more of a labor-intensive process if you want to create a solid color. And then I have my final underneath me. No glaze needs to be applied, no sealant. This is absolutely fabulous. So here underneath me, I have my final. Let me show you. Ta-da! Okay, so this is what this one looks like after a second coat. Very important, allow for the first coat to dry 20 to 40 minutes depending on where you live and what the weather conditions are like. So if it's a humid, cloudy, cool day, everything paint related will take longer to dry.
Here's a question.
We have a question, let me listen what it is.
What is the best tool to use cleaning the grooves with lacquer thinners?
Just a cloth. So what I use, so the question is, what is the best tool to use when you clean the lacquer thinner, when you clean the surface with your thinners? A mutton cloth. Okay, so mutton cloth you use to wipe your nose while you're busy working. You use it to, you can do the glaze application with it, although a microfiber cloth works better. You use it for cleaning, you use it to remove excess paint. Just make sure that you have a cloth for cleaning and a cloth for your dry brushing, so that you don't use the same cloth for both. So once I have cleaned my surface, I remove my cloth out of the room, okay, out of the space.
Did you paint the inside?
Oh yes, I did. There's another question, that I paint the inside. Absolutely. So this is a light fitting, so if I walk underneath the light, I do want to see the inside being painted as well. So this is something that we will use in our Tjhoko Champs room. So now you see something that's happening behind the scenes. Something that I also do want to mention, I don't know where he is, but I'm going to introduce you. There are so many times, there are questions on who created the shelves behind you, who built the things. We have a dedicated team member. His name is Tjhoko, and he is from a company called HIP Projects. So Dieter from HIP is visiting me from Brits in the northwest province of South Africa, and he has the task to build things that I draw pictures of that are things that only Dieter can understand. So at the office they say, Dieter speaks Nadine. We are just looking for him. He's building something somewhere. And what we usually do for these shoots is we try to show how to use upcyclable, recyclable items to create something. So we use pallet wood, we use plywood leftovers, and we make things from scratch. So once we have found Dieter, I will introduce him to you. While we're waiting for Dieter, I'm going to share my message for the week with you. Things seem impossible until they are done. So just get down to business and do things. Don't sleep on your dreams. Make them happen. And then Dieter has disappeared off the face of the earth. I don't hope that he went to get more wood for what he's busy building. And we're just trying to find him. While we're waiting for Dieter to show his presence, and Tjhoko, maybe you can phone Dieter to find out where he is. I'm going to continue to paint. Now this is actually a trademark of Dieter, if I can share this with you. if we tell Dieter, and Crystal and everyone at the office can vouch for this, if we tell Dieter we have a deadline, Dieter is always late for his deadlines. Yeah, so this is evidence of what's happening with Dieter. I think we'll have to reschedule Dieter's appearance until our next Facebook Live, because Tjhoko is now looking for Dieter all over the show. I hope that you will have the most amazing, most creative, most fantastic week ahead. I will be sharing some behind the scenes of what's happening in and around our lives next week, so that you can see what the creative process looks like and how we combine colors. And until then, stay safe, stay warm, and a lovely friendly greeting from South Africa to wherever you are watching. Bye!